There's a moment where everything feels lost, where someone is, and we hear this story all the time, standing at a tomb and thinks it's over, but it's not over. And that's really part of the story of Easter. And Jason said something that I don't want to miss. It's kind of the highlight in that story. And then he said it felt like Jesus was calling my name. We talked about that before. That's Easter. It's not just that Jesus rose. That is, of course, a big deal, but it's also that he is alive. And that matters. And he's still calling people by name. Many of us have that story. So the question is today, what if he's calling yours? What if he's calling you out of something that has felt like a tomb? This is really a turnaround story. When you read that story again, if you heard this part in there, it seems that sometimes the miracle that we have is missing, or we're missing it. And in part of that problem is sometimes we're just facing the wrong direction. Now, Mary is crying over a grave. And right at that time, the whole time, resurrection is right behind her. And did you hear that in the story? Jesus was right there the whole time. And that is part of our story as well. Sometimes life can hurt so deeply, and maybe you're here today, and that is something that you're experiencing, that or all we can see is really only what's in front of us. And this is why Easter matters then. What feels like the end isn't. Jesus may actually be, this is hard to believe sometimes, but he may even be closer than you think in the situation you find yourselves in, because sometimes we're so deep and broken and hurt, we feel like we've gone too far, we've made too many mistakes, and whatever else somebody is saying about us, that we can feel like just lost and completely gone. And yet, there are moments even in my own life where I look back and see he was there all along. It was really my perception. So one of the things that you see in the story that Easter invites us to is simply this. It's one word, it's just to turn. It's to turn. Because most people don't walk away from God on purpose. Maybe you're here today. They just, like for a lot of us, we can drift slowly, even sometimes quietly. Yes, there are things that take us away completely quickly. But all of a sudden, one day you look up and you realize that you've been staring at the wrong thing the whole time. And Easter is God's invitation. As we started off, the idea was to give you a deep breath to come in with all that's going on in our world, in our community, maybe in your families, in your life personally, to take a deep breath and just behold for a moment, turn and look at God and see, even if you're not ready to give your life to God, that there is something bigger going on. That just maybe he's calling your name. And his invitation to us is to wake up, to look over, to turn, to focus some attention a different way. Have you ever had a moment where something important was right in front of you, but you missed it? And I will tell you that I actually love, so if this has happened to you, forgive me, but I would probably laugh, then be very concerned when someone is, and here's the problem, I've done this too, they're looking at their phone and then they crash into like a pole or trip and fall. Have you ever done that before? Yeah, you get those people like me that laugh and then know you shouldn't laugh, and wait a minute, and then ask if you're okay, right? It's just that you were looking the wrong direction. But that's something small. And it could be somebody waving at you. I have this happen all the time, like the gym or something like that, when you see somebody wave and I don't realize, or just I'm focused in a different way, or my headphones are on. But those are small things. I'm talking about moments that matter. Again, what if the issue isn't that something is missing, but that you're not seeing what's already there? Have you ever missed something important because you were looking in the wrong direction? Maybe you come today or you've been overwhelmed. You're carrying regret or failure, like heavy regret or failure. You're stuck in disappointment and hopelessness. You're walking through grief or a loss in some way. Slowly, this is what's interesting. I've noticed this, and when I was writing this, thinking about that, slowly your world shrinks into just that very thing. Like for some reason, you can only focus now on what is broken or what is lost or the hopeless, and world just shrinks. And that's where Mary is in this story. And that's where many people are this time of the year. Looking at failure, loss, and what feels dead. And there's a big danger in that. You can be so focused on what is wrong that you miss what God is doing. So let's look back at the story just for a moment. Notice something in verse 14. In verse 14, it says that she, Mary, turned around and saw Jesus, but she did not know it was him. There's a moment when she comes to the tomb and all she sees is that tomb open and looks inside and sees that it's empty. Imagine Mary standing there. She's crying, she's grieving, she's staring at death, and the whole time, right off to the side or right behind her is Jesus. Sometimes the miracle is present, but we're facing the wrong direction. Now, just for a moment, if you're comfortable doing it, if you just took and you're looking at me now, or you're sleeping, one of those two, but look to like your right, just a little bit. Now look over to your left. It's like a whole new different perspective. You might have just saw somebody in the dark that you went, oh, man, I didn't know they went to church. I can't believe they stepped their foot into church this day. You don't move very far sometimes, but everything you see just in little movements like that can change perspective. And sometimes the biggest change in life isn't going somewhere new. This is the challenge today. It is turning towards someone new. How did Mary miss Jesus? One, she was focused on the wrong thing. Her attention was somewhere else. She was fixated on loss, disoriented by pain and death, focused on what was missing, her friend, her Savior, the one who changed her life. And really, she is stuck in Friday, where all of that death happened. All of that brokenness, all hope was lost. And Jesus, again, right behind her the whole time. You can be inches from resurrection and still staring at a grave. Just one turn, one moment could change everything. And the hard part is, when you have been staring at something long enough, this is scary for some. Do you know that it starts to define you? Failure defines you, disappointment defines you, and you don't just see the tomb, you start believing that this is all there is. But Easter says there is more than what you're looking at, which leads to the second thing. It's interesting to me, quite shocking, that she saw him that first turn, but she did not recognize him. Again, in verse 14, it said she did not know it was Jesus. She saw him physically. This is so shocking to many of us. But she didn't perceive him spiritually. She thought he was what? The gardener. I just looked recently at some famous painting, and it had Jesus holding like a gardening tool. And I thought, and Mary's there, and I thought it was really interesting. The perspective was incredible. And I thought about it a little more and thought, you know, there's actually a powerful part of the story that I don't want to miss here. You know, the story of the Bible began where? In a garden with, I would say, the great gardener. But what's interesting, it leads to this, from this beautiful creation, sin enters into humanity and death happens. And now, this is what's beauty in the story. Now, new life breaks open again in a garden, and it seems that the great gardener has shown up again. But he is now taking death and giving us new creation. The resurrection of Jesus is the beginning of God making all things new. This is Jason's story. This is others' story in here. This could be your story. And out of this, Jesus asked two questions. They're very interesting. It was highlighted in the story. Jason brought it up again. But he asked Mary two questions, and they are not just for her, they are for us today. And every person that hears this, it's in verse 15, he asked these two questions. Hey, why are you crying? And then he says, who are you seeking? These, hear me, are not questions of condemnation. They are actually questions of invitation. God himself is inviting us into something. Hey, what is really going on in your life? Like, he wants to know. He wants to get to the deeper things that cause you to stay focused on the tomb that you are staring at. What's really going on inside of you? And what are you actually looking for? You know, we look for life in a lot of places. And maybe you can evaluate where you do. We look for life to create something like a better version of ourselves. There's a lot of that out there. You can go onto social media and find any, type of way, program, person to get you to become a better version of yourself. And that's good. We often look to places to give us a little religious comfort. Like if you think that church is a place that we attend, the perspective that we have that it's just a place where we come to worship God and to be together in community, but a church building can't change my life, a service. Sometimes we look for a little religious comfort, some moral improvement. We think maybe life could change if I could just be a better person, some spiritual inspiration. And often we're looking for an escape, and we look to a lot of places for that, but none of those can give you real life. None of those can change you. Easter matters because what you're really looking for, we said it earlier, is a person. Someone who can change everything. And everything changes in verse 16. When Jesus says one word, it changes everything. And it is one of the most beautiful experience that someone could have. He says one word, Mary. Says her name. It's not a sermon. There's no theological argument or explanation. It's one word. Everything changes. Tears stop. Confusion begins to clear. The grief begins to lift. And suddenly, what she didn't see before, she sees. And hear this. It wasn't just the sound of his voice. She'd already heard that. This is what made it even more beautiful. It was his voice saying her name. Because this isn't a resurrection, like just a resurrection power story. This is a deeper personal love story. In that moment, Jesus has met her right where she is at. Right in that deep, broken place. And suddenly she realizes he's not dead. He's right here. He sees me for who I really am. He knows me, and now I see him for who he really is. And it says she turns again. Physically in verse 14, that first turn, the body, she just turns, but she doesn't recognize him. But in verse 16, it says that she turns this time after hearing her name, and it's a turn of the heart. She sees him for who he really is and what he has really done, and that he is alive. And she responds, Rabboni, teacher. Something much deeper, it's personal now. I think this echoes back for her, where she remembers how her life was transformed. You can read that story in the scriptures. It's beautiful. She's heard her name spoken by him before, that first time they met, where she thought all hope was lost. Life is over. She's reminded of some of his teachings. I love this one in John 10:3. It says this: the gatekeeper, Jesus taught, opens the gate, and the sheep recognize his voice, and they come to him. And then it says he calls his own sheep by name, and he leads them out. This is where the story becomes your story, because the same Jesus who stood behind Mary is the same Jesus who went to the cross. He did not just defeat death, he dealt with our sin there. We have sung about that, we have read about that, because the real problem isn't just what's happened to you, it's what's inside of us, the sin, the brokenness, the ways we've run from God, the shame we carry, the things we try to hide. And I'll be honest with you, if you are here today, there is no amount of trying harder or being better that can fix that. That's why Jesus came. He lived the life we couldn't. He died the death that we deserved. When he rose from the grave, he didn't just prove he's alive. He made a way for you and I to be forgiven, restored, and brought back to God. And that is not someday. Today. So this isn't just about Mary recognizing Jesus, it's about your responding to him as Mary did, to turn. I've had moments in my life, I am not going to share them with you. You're new, I don't want you to know all my deep, dark secrets yet. Those that have been around a while get to hear some of that stuff. But I've had moments in my life where I felt like Mary, staring at something that felt like a tomb, something I thought had failed, something I believed was lost. And all I could see was right in front of me. And in that moment, it felt like everything had narrowed down to that one thing that wasn't working. And be honest with you, I couldn't see anything else. And maybe you've been there. Maybe you are there. You keep replaying what went wrong. You keep focusing on the loss. You keep staring at what could have been. And then somewhere in this season, maybe some of you understand this, God began to whisper something. Maybe not loudly, maybe loudly. Maybe not dramatically, or maybe very dramatically. But personally, for me it was Ron. Hey, Ron, look at me. Suddenly I realized Jesus wasn't absent. He was actually closer than I thought. For some of you, that's why you're here today. So there are simply 3 turns that I'm going to ask of you. Mary's story becomes a picture of what Easter invites all of us to do. 3 turns. 1, turn from the tomb. Stop staring at what's dead. Stop anchoring your life to the past, because it cannot give you life. 2, turn toward his voice. This is not about religion. I'm not inviting you to a good idea, a system to follow, a rule book to apply. It's about a relationship with a living Savior who is still calling people by name and still inviting people to receive new life and to follow him. And 3, this is what's beautiful in this story too, that is often missed, just like this little side thing, Jason mentioned it, is to turn into a new future. In verse 18, if you caught it in there, Mary is on assignment from Jesus. He has this whole thing that we won't go into. Hey, don't cling to me right now. There's something going on here that's not finished yet. But you go tell my brothers what you have seen and experienced and heard, and that I'm alive. Go tell them. And she does, she runs to them, which is pretty shocking in that culture that a woman would be the first one and do this. It is awesome. And 2, she goes to them and says, I've seen the Lord. The grieving woman becomes the first witness of the resurrection. The one who came to mourn leaves with a mission. Because Jesus doesn't just forgive your past, he actually gives you a future. The worship team can come up. And any prayer partners can prepare to come as well, because I'm going to give you an opportunity to come and pray. What if today you've been staring at something broken, something lost, something that feels like the end? Have you? Are you? And Jesus is actually closer than you think, and he's calling your name. This matters because you don't have to stay stuck. And some of you may feel stuck. You don't have to carry it alone. It may be scary to you, but one of the things that we invite people to is if you come to Journey, or any church for that matter, is you're joining a community. And I joke all the time. I call us like a big old bunch of dysfunctional folks coming to serve and love Jesus. And there's probably truth, or maybe I'm just the king of that, and then the rest you're all normal and fine. But I'll be honest with you, I don't know if I could do this. I can't do this by myself. We're not built that way, created that way. And you don't have to keep searching, you can turn today. And turning is actually simple. It means you stop running the wrong direction. You stop resisting. And you simply say, Jesus, I believe and I need you. So I'm going to turn to you. That's it. You don't have to have the perfect words right now. You don't have to hear me on this. You do not have to have the perfect life. Just a real response. A turn. A turn that can change everything. In a moment, we'll sing a couple verses, a couple chorus parts of this song that may be very familiar to some. But before we do, this is your moment. Let this be your turning. In fact, would you stand with me? I'm going to invite you. You can come forward and pray with someone, or you can fill out a card. They're on the tables in here. They're out in there. We have some up here if you come up and pray. And if you give your life to Jesus or want to declare something that I'm going to share with you in just a moment, fill one of those out. We want to pray with you. We want to connect with you. Because part of it is not hiding anymore. It's not resisting. It's just be part of something where we can connect together and join together and learn to love him and follow him and walk with him. So you can come forward. Some of us will be up here for prayer. And yes, it's a little risky. Yeah, someone's going to see you come up and they're going to now judge you, think that you're this wonderful, horrible, evil sinner. And I would say, hey, listen, I'm going to be standing here and I'm those very things. Come forward and pray with someone. You could fill out a card and just get one and take it to your seat and respond that way too. Or maybe you're not sure where you're at spiritually. Let me just talk to everybody for a moment. Those of you that follow Jesus, love him, this is, pray for those that don't. It's Easter. I mean, we kind of focus on that. So let me make it real simple. I've done this before. 3 simple things that you could say. Number 1, God, I'm curious. This is for someone in the room. You're not ready to take a big step yet. Something's going on. You feel it, you sense it. You're resisting though, and that's not condemnation, that's just acknowledgement, awareness. You're looking at an empty tomb, an empty, maybe life in some way, and wondering, could this even be true? But you got questions, exploring. You're wondering if Jesus is alive and real. That matters because, you know why? Because you matter to God. God is not afraid of those questions. Like some of the most honest conversations you could have with him, if you're even wondering if he's alive, is you might just tell him, I don't know if you even exist. Man, looking at this world today, I can't imagine that you do. But if you do, I've got some questions. I've got some things that I want to know. So I would encourage you to keep seeking, keep asking, turn towards him, and I'd invite you to come back. So you're curious. You may even want to write that on a card today and say, hey, I'm not ready for all this, but I would appreciate some prayers, or I got some questions. Could you let me know on this? Could we connect or something like that? The second one is, God, I'm back. It's real simple. Maybe you've walked away. Life happened, disappointment happened, regret happened, pain happened, failure happened. The whole dang year happened, and you just showed up to church for the first time in a year because mom begged you to come. Shamed you into it, and it worked. Promised you something that you expect to get after this service. Good luck with that. I hope it happens. But regret, pain, failure, you found yourself distant from God. But there is something in you right now that says, I feel it, I sense it. Listen, I don't need you to come back to church, though I want you to come to church. I'm inviting you to come back to God. He is not pushing you away. He is the prodigal father, son's father, who was with open arms waiting for his son to come home. And after many years of depravity, seeing his son walk down the path, it is with open arms that he celebrated. Waiting for you, ready to welcome you home. So you know what my answer is? You know what? Turn and come home. Quit resisting. Quit making it so hard. Or if it's hard for you, let's walk through that together. But just start there. And the last one is this. God, I believe for some of you, if there is someone here this morning, this is your moment. You are ready. You believe who Jesus is, who he says he is, that he died for your sin, that you're a sinner, that he rose again, that he is alive today. And today you're ready to turn and give your life to Jesus and follow him. It is this simple in Romans. Paul, the writer, writes and says in 10:9, if you openly declare that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. It's a starting place. You enter into a new life with a new mission. So as we sing, don't just sing, let this be your step, let this be your turning. Come forward. Let somebody pray with you. Tell them where you're at, what's going on, why are you crying, who are you seeking? So I invite you to respond today, because the one who calls your name is the one who walked out of the grave and is alive.